and welcome to the S&D podcast. As always, we are your hosts, Shania
and Beyonce.
And today we're going to be talking about the UD experience in relation to COVID and its impact on the college experience for UD students. So without further ado, let's get right on into it.
In 2020, the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic has altered many aspects of our lives. The UD experience was one of many aspects that have been impacted by the pandemic. So Shania, tell me, how has the pandemic impacted your University of Delaware experience?
I would say the biggest impact for me personally would be on my education, as doing virtual learning and then coming back on campus has definitely caused me to take time to adjust.
Girl, I feel you on that one. The good news is I'm pretty sure we aren't the only ones either.
Most definitely. In fact, Beyonce, did you know that according to an article written by Inside Higher Ed that talks about the effects of COVID on college student success in both high school and college, nearly 52% of participants stated they learned less this year compared to pre-COVID years, while over 47% rated the amount of education received online as being fair or poor. In addition, I think it's good to note that 35% of participants stated that they felt unprepared for college.
I think it's interesting to point out these statistics as, once again, we are still living in a pandemic, and quite frankly, some of us are still trying to get used to this new beginning while still remembering how life was once before COVID. Like for me, before COVID, I was headed to college in 2020, but the COVID chaos ultimately led to my decision to take a year off from school. For me, not having a graduation after high school just made me feel unprepared to start college.
Oh my gosh, really? I didn't know that. Do you think that taking that year off maybe could have been what caused you to reconsider coming back on campus?
Yes, this gave me plenty of time to think about coming back to campus, as I wanted to continue my education, but from a state of comfort, you know?
I definitely feel you when you reference a state of comfort. As for me, originally, I had plans to go out of state for college, but due to COVID, I thought it would be better financially to stay local, which I'm glad I did, as COVID made me appreciate all the moments I had with both my friends and family a lot more than before, because 2020 is like the year of trials and tribulations for me. Like, do you remember when it first started and like how we're all doing certain things that day in March when we got the news? Like, I remember I was in my AP bio class in high school and prom tickets were actually due that day, and I remember my mom wouldn't give me the money to purchase a ticket as she was afraid of COVID and she didn't want me to put myself at risk. And I remember what was supposed to be a 2-week-long hiatus from physical school learning turned into this big year-long and then some process, and I didn't really get a chance to say goodbye to any of my friends.
Oh no, that's sad.
Yes, hashtag sad face.
You're always like, hashtag.
Sorry. I think it's because of the coffee I drank this morning.
Wait, you drink coffee?
Beyonce, what were you doing in March when COVID first hit?
At the time, I had just paid for my prom tickets as well as my senior picnic tickets. Well, I had no idea that I was never going to experience it. Not only did most high school seniors miss out on prom in 2020, we also missed out on our high school graduation ceremony, making the high school to college transition very difficult.
Yes, hashtag graduation drive-through.
Starting college in fall 2020 definitely did not look like the previous years for college freshmen. Finding out that my freshman year in college would have been virtual made it hard for me to cope with everything. Which also impacted my decision to take a year off from school.
I know during my freshman year at college, all my classes were online, and I found it more difficult to have all my classes online as opposed to in person. As since I was home and always cozy, I procrastinated more on homework. I tended to sleep in more often, sometimes waking up literally 5 minutes before class. And in addition, I honestly don't remember much of anything I learned. And I feel like that definitely played a huge toll, as this time during my sophomore year, I found myself spending more time studying and reviewing because I haven't grasped certain concepts as I should have.
Yes, COVID-19 really took everyone by surprise, taking a toll on our balance. Coming to UD after taking a year off from school is not at all the UD experience I had envisioned, like wearing masks and social distancing. I know that I felt out of place as well as many sophomores who experienced their first year of college virtually.
I definitely agree. You know, even though I am a sophomore like you, this is my first time officially on campus. And I feel like I'm not really getting that UD experience as I really thought I would. Like, I'm finding it super hard to make friends and fit into groups, and I'm still adjusting to finding all the different buildings from my classes to certain events to other things. I wonder how life was like on campus before COVID.
Well, the good news for you guys is we have 2 awesome guest speakers today.
Woohoo!
Our first guest speaker is Yomina Luna. She is the Public Relations Director in a club on campus named Ola. Yomina, please introduce yourself to the S&D family.
Okay, hi. You can call me Yuli for short. It's easier. And yeah, as you guys said, I am the Public Relations Chair for Ola. And I am a senior art conservation and art history double major here at UD. And what was the other question?
You're just introducing yourself.
Okay, that's it. Okay.
It was just an introduction, but we can get into the questions, no problem.
Okay. So the first question we have for you is, what was life on campus before COVID?
Yeah, I don't remember. So, definitely, coming in as a freshman will always be difficult. I think for me, I grew up in Puerto Rico, so I came from very far to come here. And, besides trying to make friends, besides, everything that any freshman deals with, I also had to deal with, the cultural shock of coming here. People don't speak Spanish here. People eat different things, listen to different music, have a completely different culture than me. So I had to adjust to that. So that was a big part of my college career before COVID. Just me trying to adjust to the culture as well as the college culture, which is completely different. And that was a hard adjustment. But then once I got settled in, started making friends, joined clubs like Ola, and where I found my little space, my little home far away from home, everything shut down. So that's how that went. But everything before that was I was having fun.
During your summertime, do you go back to Puerto Rico or do you just stay on campus all year
round? I try to go home every break that I have, Thanksgiving, winter, spring, and summer break. This summer, however, I couldn't go home because I had an internship position at a museum in Dover, the Biggs Museum of American Art. And I really missed it, a lot. You definitely need to go back home and unwind and be with your loved ones, because being on campus, especially during a break, there's not a lot of people on campus. It's basically just you and your roommates if you have any.
Okay, and you also mentioned the idea of going back and forth between here and Puerto Rico. Did COVID have any influence? Because I know they shut down the airport several times.
Yeah, so I didn't go home at the beginning of the pandemic at all. That March where everything shut down and everyone was sent home, I stayed in my off-campus housing because I was afraid to travel and I didn't know if it was safe, and also they just were not, I think they were allowing it for Puerto Rico, but it was very regulated and I just didn't know how to get tested. The resources weren't completely out there during that time. But I essentially went home that summer, midsummer. And it was very difficult, very long lines of asking, where did you come from? Can I have your address? And have you been tested? It was just very regulated. And it took me 2 hours to leave the airport after I got back. So I was there for 2 hours, and then they were able to release me into going home.
Okay. And do you feel now that you're in your senior year, things have gotten better in relation to COVID and seeing your family and adjusting to the environment here?
Yeah, I mean, even in our everyday lives, we just wear masks now, to go everywhere. And I remember at the beginning of the pandemic, I was thinking, wow, is this what life is gonna be like? We're just gonna go to the supermarket wearing masks from now on. And it's looking like that's going to be the case, and that has been the case for a lot of things. Seeing family I haven't seen in a while with a mask on, and I don't know, it's looking like that's how it's gonna be for a while.
Can I ask, is this the same layout here in the US? Is it the same way in Puerto Rico, or are you guys going through a different model, or?
I really don't know. It's about the same? Question mark? I'm not sure. Because I think people here are not as regulated as it is over there. Like, you can go to the supermarket here and you'll see someone without a mask. Over there, like, they'll kick you out. Like, you cannot do that. Proof of vaccination before going into every restaurant. I haven't experienced that here. So is it more regulated? Perhaps yes, but also in Puerto Rico, we have limited resources. We don't have as many hospitals. We don't have as many professionals. So I guess that's where that comes from, most likely.
Okay. And speaking of that, is there any tips or advice maybe you could give to anyone that's currently in your situation that has family abroad, that kind of like you, they couldn't necessarily see them, so they had to stay local, so they're still trying to adjust, and maybe are a few grades under? So me, I'm a sophomore, so imagine somebody who's a freshman who their first year, they couldn't see their family at all.
I mean, I would say just understand that you're going through this, but then your family is also going through the fact that they can't see you. And so there might be times where, I would get frustrated with my mom because she'll be like, when are you coming? When are you coming? And I'll be like, bro, I can't travel. And I would get frustrated with her, but understand that they really miss you. And for especially younger people coming into college, they have to accept the fact that the little baby left home, and also they can't come home because of the pandemic. So it's a lot on them as well. So just be a little bit more understanding, and accept that they're also going through it. You're going through it. Let's be nice to each other. And what else? How was my point of that? Yeah, I think that's basically the point that I wanted to make.
I like your response.
Thank you.
But okay, so we want to thank you so much for being a guest star on our podcast, and we hope that we get a chance to meet with you again soon.
Of course. Thank you, guys.
And we wish you all the best of luck.
Thank you. You guys too.
Okay, our next guest speaker name is Moses Martinez.
Woo-hoo.
He is the webmaster in a club on campus named Hola. Moses, please introduce yourself to our family.
Hello, family. My name is Moses Martinez, and like they said, I am the webmaster for Hola.
Okay, so the starting question is, what was life like on campus before COVID?
Yeah, so funny thing, I wasn't on campus before COVID, but yeah, so like you guys, I was a senior in high school when COVID hit. I remember I was getting ready for track, and so we were all sitting on the field, and my coach was like, "Oh yeah, guys, prepare for this. It's gonna be 2 weeks, but we'll be back, and remember to keep running because we're gonna be back, and we're gonna run races." And next thing you know, we're out in the store buying food for the next 3 months, and things just got crazy really quick. I was like, what is happening right now? But yeah, that's where I was at.
Speaking of that, so something that kind of is funny that you brought up was the idea of going to the store. Do you remember not only that, but kind of now it's a correlation, but all the aisles are getting empty, and you had certain requirements, you couldn't take more than one roll of toilet paper at a time, or what was it, 2 rolls of toilet paper and hand sanitizer? It was
it's crazy because actually that's when I decided to start working at Food Line. I got a job at Food Line because I was like, what am I doing? I was so bored at home, just like you. I was staying up late, going to sleep, waking up so late. So I was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna get a job, make some money. And yeah, it was crazy. I remember we would have to really limit how much we put on the shelves, because as soon as we put up the toilet paper, it would just go like this. Paper towels would go like this. So yeah, it was crazy. It was just a panic. I mean, you can't blame people because we were all scared. We didn't know what was gonna happen.
So how has the pandemic impacted your UD experience so far?
Yeah, so I'd say I would have it a little bit different than people who were on campus before COVID, because my senior year half of it was virtual, so I guess got used to it. So then coming onto, I can't even say campus, but coming online to UD, I was already primed and prepared to be online, so I knew what it was going to be like, and honestly I did really well, and I was like, you know what, I could get used to this, just chilling, waking up, and then just being in class, not even have to get changed or anything. Yeah, so I was one of the the rare people that enjoyed it. I had really good grades, and but I will say that coming onto campus now and having in-person classes and interacting with the professors and the students, it's an experience that you really don't get online, and I would not want to go back. If we got shut down, I'd be very upset, and I can understand and sympathize with the people that were sent back home.
Well, we want to thank you again, Yumila and Moses, for being a guest speakers on our podcast today, as well as sending a huge thank you to everyone who was listening. We really appreciate it, and we hope that you guys tune into our next podcast that deals with college scandals and tuition.
I honestly can't wait to hear about it myself. But okay, guys, until we meet again.
Shania
And Beyonce signing out.